Previously on In the Footsteps of the Franklins.
And they were from convicts who'd escaped from Macquarie Harbour. Painters Plains, ladies and gentlemen. This is a friggin' nightmare. No one has ever seen.
Friday is going to be 15 to 25 mil.
I'm just so in the thick of it. Yeah, that's got to be it. It's cut out. Holy crap. I haven't found the water. Please change vegetation. Good morning. So the plan today, day 3, is to make my way from the top of this hill all the way down the Loddon Plains to the base of Calder Pass. So I'm going to be passing through a couple of button grass plains before I get to the Loddon Plains that most people would know as the Frenchmans Cap Track. This is one of those pieces of kit that I've always kind of carried but never used. And it's obviously a good thing to not have used it, but I'm glad that I never took it out of my kit because I've used it twice now, only 2 days in. But to be fair, I probably should have noted that these pants were a little thin and just bought some new ones for this trip, because this type of scrub bashing takes a real toll on like everything that you're wearing. The gloves, the boots, the pants, the thermals, all of it. It's about the only spot I could get satellite phone coverage. Anyone who says it's impossible to climb horizontal, here's some proof for you. I mean, this is only very low off the ground. I have experienced it about 7 or 8 meters off the ground along the banks of the Franklin. But you can do it. It's just steps and it's real strong. So there's a lot of misconception about whether some of the early reports from explorers were correct, in that there was this horrible scrub that just grew on itself more and more to the point where you had to climb up over it and risk falling to the bottom. Some people think that's not possible because it wouldn't be able to support the weight, but I mean, that's only very low. But it's out there, and it does exist. In fact, it's all around me. I'm just in a little clearing here, but fingers crossed when I get up to a bit drier land, it'll thin out, and if my calculations are correct, in the myrtle forest. Here's another fine example. I'm at least 2.5, maybe 3 meters off the ground, climbing up over horizontal. Finally made it out of the horizontal. into some massive myrtle trees.
Burn recalls passing through this section of the track. Ascending from Painters Plains, we entered another myrtle forest at 11:28, emerging therefrom at 11:54. Many noble trees susceptible of the highest polish, beautifully veined, and apparently admirably adapted for cabinet work abound here.
So this is the first little creek. It's not ideal, it's not running, but I'm gonna take some just in case I get desperate. I've got this life straw on this bottle anyway, so it's meant to filter out all the nasties apparently. So just in case it's life or death, I've got something I can drink or boil. Found another piece of striking resemblance to a track. Very straight, very clear. You never know, these things do happen naturally, but considering that I'm on the path as best close as I could have predicted to Sir John Franklin's party, it is likely that I would come across a couple of pieces of it. And I think that's happened. That's where I've made my way up this kind of little cliff face, and pretty soon I think the Frenchman's Cap's going to come into view. Just up here. So I finally made it up to the top of the hill, and my course is going to be southwest down the ridge to the Loddon Plains, or part of. I'm going to be heading through what Calder named Long Grove Marsh, which was this patch of forest in between the northeastern Loddon Plains, through the Loddon River and some of its tributaries like the South Loddon and the Adelaide. And yeah, it was noted that through there the Loddon meanders rather than flows. So I'll probably have lunch there if I can, if I make it in time. There's my first look at the Frenchmans. You can just see it. And I'm in the thick of bower and cutting grass. Holy crap. Get a load of that view. Wow. Wow. That is the Frenchman's Cap, and I'm having a drink. This is way better than any view I was expecting from this point. It all adds up with the course they would have taken. They must have come down this spur with the button grass and then down onto the Loddon Plains, through the Loddon River, and then through those Loddon Plains southwards. So peaceful here, I could have fallen asleep. It's moments like this that just gotta take in, because there's so many hardships on these type of journeys that you need the good to balance it out, and this is one of those times. Now back into it. Bashing my way through this bower and look, I can see the planes coming into view. They're only 50 meters or so away. Good spot for a sit. That was a hectic traverse. I would not recommend it to anyone. So I'm just catching my breath. I've just hammered across the plains. So I'm just about to enter the forest here to go into the Loddon River, which is about 200 meters away. But I estimate that pretty much in this spot, or a little bit closer to the river, was the day 3 camp. It was one of the pit stops after Wombat Glen. It came to here. So it went the ponds, provision night 1, Wombat Glen number 2, and then to here, which is the Loddon Valley. And they didn't stop here because they came across it in like 3 hours or something. It was 7 miles, and they kept going down south towards the end of the Loddon Plains at a place which has since been renamed Detention Corner. And that was 7 miles as well. So it was 7 miles from Wombat Glen to here, and from here to there was 7 miles. So they did 14 miles in the day. But this provision camp needed to be 7 miles from each of those. And I know exactly where Wombat Glen is, and I know exactly where Detention Corner is. So this spot right here, just before you get into the Loddon River, but still on the plains, is where I reckon that the day 3 provision camp was. Of course, there's no proof of it, but it's just where I worked it out to be. Anyway, the more you know. And I'm better go and get into this forest. So far, so good. I've still got 100 or so meters left, but we're getting into some forest straight away. Now, very rarely can you go from plains to a forest like this that's open. I've only seen it a few times. That'd be the Loddon River. Funny, I was just thinking about how last night when I cooked my meal, I had like just a little bit too much water. It was probably that much left, and normally I would just tip it out, but because I didn't have access to any water, I saved it. It was boiling obviously at the time, so I just sat it outside. And it's crazy how you can just have these extremes. Like now I'm just tipping water out from my noodles, just wasting it, but when I was up there it was a precious commodity. But I suppose that's kind of what makes these trips a challenge, is that you're always dealing with the variables and extremes of uncomfortable situations. Crossing these little dried up creek beds is one of my favorite things to look for footprints. You can see I think that's either a wombat or probably Tassie devil. They're quite small and close together. You got a wallaby there. One day I'll check one and there'll be 5 digits and they'll be big. And that will be when we rediscover the Tassie tiger. Get a load of this forest through here. This is so magical. It's just grassy. Oh, mushrooms. It's heaven. If I was a Tassie tiger, this is where I would live. What a place to set up camp. You can see this game trail that runs through here. It obviously gets a lot of traffic. Beautiful.
As I made my way through Long Grove Marsh, I felt the weight of my bag lift as I glided like a vapour, drifting across a soft bed of moss. I spotted some ripples on the other side of the river and found a new mate who seemed to be enjoying the day just as much as me.
I think he's enjoying the sun.
Bern recalls of his time walking through here. Very good grass, but of limited extent, is found along its banks. We were now in the very region of rivers and creeks, the Loddon being fed by many considerable tributaries, more than one of which we were under the necessity of crossing.
Still sound.
3 or 4 such crossings brought us to the superb valley that skirts the base of the Frenchman.
Just over there. How many of you recognize this scene from Jane 3, where 3 of us were walking across the log and I had the viral cam set up from one of these trees to another? Pretty awesome little memory.
This is exactly how I like my tent set up. Sleeping mat, sleeping bag. I've got my bag with everything I'm not going to use, and my jacket and hat on there, the gloves, my clothes, camera gear, these are the books, and toiletries bag. Now over here, I've got tonight's dinner, thanks to Campus Pantry, and stuff to cook it,
and a few little leftover treats there. Damn, those feet got soggy today. No wonder they hurt. But I'm feeling alright, surprisingly, considering what I've been through. I'm very worn out, but I'm not really sore, so I should be grateful for that, because I'm going to need every ounce of enthusiasm and commitment that I can get tomorrow going up over Colders Pass and into Lightning Plains. And I'm hoping that I can find the Christmas rock. Because I believe that it's still out there, undiscovered. I did happen to bring along a trail cam on this little expedition. So I'll give it a razz tonight. This looks like a pretty good spot where this man fern is. See if there's any animals that come along here at night. So I've just gone to set the trail cam up, and it says low battery. I've like literally used it twice on 2 trips. So I'm lugging this big heavy heap of crap around for nothing. So I've just got the forecast for the next week. Today no rain, Wednesday no rain, Thursday 15% of 1 mil. So that's 3 days that are fine. Friday, Saturday and Sunday, 95% chance of 10 to 15 mil. Monday, 85% of 5 to 10 mil. So 3 fine days and 4 rainy days. It's kind of a pivotal point for me, because I'm at that point of the trip where once I go up over the pass, I'm committed. Because at the moment I have the option to walk out via the Loddon Plains and the Frenchmans Cap track. So I just pray that I'm not walking into a nightmare. I guess what concerns me the most is this route was covered partly in 1953 by a group of 6 members from the Hobart Walking Club. Some absolutely legendary walkers like Jack Thwaites and Leo Luckman. And they didn't start from Lake St Clair, where the original track started. They started on the Frenchmans Cap track. And it still took them 12 days or something to get to the Gordon River. They did have a party of 6. So, I mean, with any party, you're only as strong as your weakest link. You can't move ahead if you're feeling like doing so. But that's still a lot of time. I mean, I've got the time, but it's the rain and it's the I don't know. I've got to go for it because if I don't, I'll never ever forgive myself. And that's all there is to it.
Next time on In the Footsteps of the Franklins.
I think I've just found my worst scrub of the trip. Thank God. Today's really pushing me to the limits. This is not cool. I'm back in the river. It turned into hell up there. My hardest day in the bush, I reckon. Crap. That's a friggin' waterfall.